Well, earlier in training camp, he had the injury that kept him out, and then really this last week, he felt like it had just gotten to the point where he needed to have the surgery. So
Is there a timeline for how long he could potentially be out?
I don't know that timeline yet. Obviously, the rest of the season, but from there, I'm not sure.
How's Brandon Allen doing?
He's doing better. He's day to day. He won't practice today for us, but I know he's feeling better as he moves around a little bit more.
So who takes I guess does Finley take those first team reps then at practice?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Is Allen still an option to play?
Yes, he would be.
At any point, do you unquarantine Kevin Hogan and maybe get him a couple practice reps?
We got to invest in one guy right now, and Kevin still will get some reps in some other ways. He is at practice, so quarantine. I understand that part of things. He does all the Zoom meetings, but he does come to practice and participate. So in that way, he's still a big part of the team.
Zach, when we saw Geno before he hurt his shoulder in training camp, he was looking pretty dominant in pass rushing drills. Did you think that he was poised to be, the Geno of old before he hurt his shoulder?
Yeah, it was, competing against that defensive line every day with him and DJ Reader. They were playing at a very high level in training camp, and it was exciting to watch that interior defensive line go. And Ren was a part of that as well early on before we had this first couple practices, and so how quickly that changed once we had those 3 injuries. But he was playing at a high level in training camp.
Obviously, it wasn't ideal for Ryan Finley when he came in last week. What can he learn from that, and what can he do better if he gets another chance?
Yeah, it's a difficult situation to come in down 2 scores. It's happened to him, really the last 2 times he played, and that's a tough situation to be in, especially when you're going against some good pass rushers, which Dallas had and which Miami's had. And so again, just continue to learn from those experiences. He will always have to go in though with the mentality that you're going to play every snap. You never know what can happen to the starting quarterback, and so Ryan will go in with that. And if Ryan were to have to play, then he'll be ready with this entire game plan, and he'll put himself in a position to succeed.
I feel like I need to ask the obligatory Joe Mixon question here. Do you expect to have him back off of IR at some point?
Not this week.
In any week over the last end of the season?
You never know. Check back next week, but not this week.
All right.
What about Trey Waynes?
I do not anticipate Trey Waynes being back this season.
Is Fred Johnson likely to start at left tackle this week?
He's got a good shot. We got him and Akeem, and again, 2 young players that are continuing to compete and get a lot of reps. And again, those guys got to continue to progress as they get more time at that position.
What about running back rotation by committee still, or maybe did Travion do enough to get more of a look there?
We feel like we got 3 ones that we can count on. And you look back at this game last time, Samaje and Gio had some good runs for us, and obviously Travion's a young back that we're continuing to get a look at. So we'll use all 3 of those as best we can.
What's kind of the turning point with Travion where you said, maybe this is a guy who you could get some more carries to?
Just wanted to provide some opportunity for him. And, again, got a lot of confidence in Gio and Samaje as well. They 2 guys that do everything the right way and exactly how you want it done. And, just as we continue to try to be explosive on offense and create ways to get more explosive plays and score more points, we're just turning it over every stone, trying to find ways that can happen. And Travion hadn't gotten much of an opportunity, and so we just felt like, hey, let's take a peek at him and see if he can give us some jolt there on offense.
Zach, your ability to kind of look at the positive in spite of the negative, where did that come from? Like as a kid, like growing up, like as you were turning into a coach. I mean, how did that become part of who you are as a person?
My parents, for sure. My mom's probably the most positive. She always told me I was going to win the Heisman Trophy and be the first pick in the draft, and she was lying to me, but I think she really believed it. But she's a very positive person, as well as my dad. My dad coached me all growing up, and just kind of the intangible stuff that he doesn't really have to talk about. It's just when you see somebody you admire, and idolize in that way. And then you just, I feel like that those are some of the traits that I have just come from those two people.
As a head coach, how do you balance, your innate sense of optimism with kind of the realism of, okay, this isn't going well. There are things that need to change. And even though I may believe in some of these things, there comes to a point like, I may need to make decisions on changing. How do you marry that? Because that is such a big part of who you are as a person.
Absolutely. It's something you have to be honest with yourself every single day, and we feel like we do that. But that's a good question, because you're right. You've got to be critical of yourself. You got to be critical of sometimes some things that you really believe in strongly. And we've done that over the last 2 years, changed some things that, they don't go against our vision necessarily, but just, hey, we got to take a look at this. What we're asking these guys to do maybe isn't as effective as we anticipated, and we got to find ways to play to their strengths. And so it continues to evolve every week that you're a part of this thing. Is you got to look at ways to evolve and put your staff and players in the best position to be successful.
If you are here in the off season, I mean, is that something where you plan on? Do you plan on ramping that up and saying, maybe this is after the last couple of years we've had, maybe it's time to maybe a little bit more self-critical at some of the things that we're doing and the approach that we're taking?
We'll do whatever we feel is best for the team, and again, right now we're just focused on Pittsburgh. Those are questions I'll answer, at the end of the season. But right now we're just doing everything we can to put ourselves in a good position to beat Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday night.
Speaking of the Steelers, Coach, how about facing them for a second time now?
Good football team, and of course they've got a really tough defense. It's they've done a good job these last couple of weeks. I know they've lost 2 in a row, but you just look at, they've really given up about 3 points a game in the first half these last couple of weeks, and so they do a good job creating turnovers. That's really where they get these games turned. That's what we did to them the first time we played them. We had the one on the punt return and the one on offense early in the game. So you got to be much more disciplined there. Their defense does a good job getting the ball out. And on defense, we got to do a better job getting the ball out when we get those opportunities. But it's a good football team. Obviously, they've had a lot of success this year, and they'll be ready for us, and we'll be ready for them.
Coach, how much changes from a game plan standpoint if it isn't Brandon Allen, since he has made 3 starts in a row, and it is Ryan Finley, who hasn't started since last season?
Yeah, overall, we try not to change our structure too much because it affects everybody. But you certainly want to play to the strengths of your quarterback, and so you always look at what they do. They can be successful with, what concepts they do well, and but the rest of it is, we still got 21 other guys that have confidence in what they're doing, and you don't want to change things too much.
Coach, I'm going to finish out the rest of the offensive line, if you don't mind. What do you get going? Who do you think you're going to play at guard this on Monday night?
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of good options there, and so we're going to continue to evaluate all these guys and put the best 5 out there on Sunday that give us a great chance, or on Monday, I guess.
2 more minutes.
Just one thing about playing the Steelers. I don't know if you guys have talked about this, but they seem to, whenever there's a mistake made, they seem to pounce on it. I mean, I don't know how I emphasize that, or just kind of watching the game. Is that something that you see? They don't let you breathe?
They create the mistakes. They put you in a position to, if you don't handle it the right way, then they capitalize on it. And that's one thing you got to give them a lot of credit for. That shows up on tape over and over again. And, really there was a turning point in the Washington game when Alex Smith, they called it an incompletion, but there was a turning point there. With that had been a fumble, they would have probably blown them out. I think it was 14-3 at the time. And so again, it's, they're going to create some opportunities. You got to take great care of the ball and be smart with your decision making. And we just got to be effective on each possession we get.
I'm not sure how much of a difference it makes, but last week what went into having Suafield at left guard and Spain at right guard?
We just felt like we needed a change there, after the Miami game, and Xavier was healthy and ready for an opportunity. And so we took a look at him, and I thought he did some good things for us.
And then does it make a difference who plays which side, or what are you looking for?
You always factor that in, and the rhythm that they had was Q at right guard and Xavier coming in. Xavier's played a ton of left guard over the course of his career, and you don't want to keep swapping guys back and forth if you can avoid it. They both felt comfortable there and did a good job for us. Both of them did.
One last question. Any more? All right, looks like that's it. Thanks for your time, Coach.
Thanks, bro. You bet.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, everyone.